Hello and welcome to another episode of Crypto Time. My name's James Coughlin and I'm joined today with Antonio Shillingford. How are you today, mate?
I'm doing perfectly fine. How about yourself?
Yeah, I'm really good. I think it's been an extremely interesting week, especially what happened on Tuesday in relation to Craig Wright making a claim on the actual white paper itself. I think we'll tuck straight into this subject. One thing we always must say first is please do your own due diligence before getting involved in any new investment. Do not misconstrue this as investment advice. The opinions you're about to hear are just myself and Antonio. I think this is going to be a good little starting spot. So again, just to kind of reiterate what we just said in the intro there, what we have seen is that Craig Wright has made a massive claim towards the actual white paper itself of Bitcoin. What's your thoughts on this, mate?
Yeah, so the copyright was towards the white paper itself and was granted by the US office. Now, the thing is, a lot of people have jumped the gun and stating that it means things that it completely doesn't and vice versa. And end of the day, this is just one step in the process. It's not all going to happen straight away. End of the day, people need to realize it is a process that is to take place. And throughout that process, everyone should scrutinize it, and that is only natural, but should scrutinize it from an informed view. So actually just do the research, get all the information that you need, and then make an informed decision.
It's almost like a puzzle that's missing a few pieces, isn't it? And what we're now starting to see is these puzzle pieces actually come into place. I think the really important thing to do is to just kind of understand and kind of explain exactly what this truly means to the space at this moment in time. So what it doesn't mean is that Craig Wright is 100% Satoshi Nakamoto. As we said, this is a step towards the claim that he's trying to make. Now, anybody can go ahead and make a copyright claim towards something. The thing to be clear on here is obviously it was done through a pseudonym, which was under the alias of Satoshi Nakamoto.
And that slightly changes things. Of course, someone can then step forward and say, look, I am Satoshi Nakamoto, provide sort of minimal evidence, and then that will pretty much be granted to the individual.
Yeah, I mean, from this side as well, with the evidence side, you pretty much have to give no evidence to your actual claim itself. My understanding is now that there's going to be some sort of examination into the actual claim itself, where they may ask for certain evidence. The thing to be clear on, though, is this is kind of law binding. So if, for example, Craig has turned around and told a lie in relation to this, that is a big problem. The way that you were asked by the court of law, through the normal avenues, is that you say the truth, and that is law binding as you say it. So it's not something you can just say lightly and just hope nobody sort of cares or whatever it is in the background. As we've seen already, a lot of people are trying to sort of stick on either side of the camp. We're seeing a lot of people say, this is a huge step forward for Craig Wright and his team and the actual coin BSV itself. Other people are saying the opposite. They're saying it means absolutely nothing in the space. And I think, to be quite honest with you, it's a bit of a seesaw between the two. I'm sure you'd agree.
Yeah, 100%. And just like I stated, it's a process. This is just one cog in that process. But what this will help with is the lawsuits that are currently going on, of course, to do with Craig Wright, which we'll touch into a bit later. But just to jump straight into it, I'm pretty sure you have a statement that came out from the Copyright Office, because they done a bit of an update after everything started to break out in the crypto community. Must have imagined bombarded them with questions, so they done a bit of an update.
I can't imagine this is something they have to do too often. I imagine this has probably been a bit of a wild one for the guys in that office, as they've sort of probably got social media going crazy. They've probably got letters, emails coming in left, right and centre.
Probably the most exciting that office has been in ages.
That's for sure, mate, that's for sure. So the statement they came out with was, in case in which a work is registered under a pseudonym, the Copyright Office does not investigate whether there is a provable connection between the claimant and the pseudonym author. So it just backs up what we've just said from a statement from those guys over at the Copyright Office in the United States. It's interesting really to see how this one's going to play out now. We have already seen that he's been given it. There's been a transaction, not a transaction ID, but we've so long in the crypto space, you start going down that route. There's been an ID basically assigned to obviously this. It can be checked out. We'll put the registration, documentation in the link below. So anybody that's interested in actually seeing all of that that information, can do so. The other thing that's really important is really how, for example, it was perceived. Whether, for example, people were looking at it and saying to ourselves, right, this is a load of rubbish, whether people were saying, actually, this could be true. And I think the proof is in the pudding when it comes to price movement on the coin itself. Now, we saw the coin go from around about $61.75 right the way up to $135. This is kind of quoted from CoinMarketCap. This obviously pulls metrics from loads of different exchanges. Certain exchanges obviously pumped a lot higher, but as an average general rule, this gives you a good kind of indication as to what happened that day. Mm-hmm. And I think that really is the community turning around and saying that actually we can see what's going on here, and we can see that there is commitment to the fact that they do believe and they can see the view and a vision of what Craig is trying to do at this moment in time. So I think that's an interesting one.
Yeah, and we've been in this space for a long time now. And Bitcoin, end of the day, it is a peer-to-peer network that allows equal access, but it is so much more than that as well. It is also a technology. So in terms of just doing a simple transaction where I send you value, that is just one very, very small use case. Mm-hmm. Now, when it comes into the other things of building these applications on top of Bitcoin, building these companies on top of Bitcoin, then it turns into a complete different topic. And you need to start looking into the token economics on how this will all actually operate, and whether every single person that is going to be on top of that system and operating on that system is incentivized to do so. Mm-hmm. So with us being able to vet through a lot of these different projects in the past, and that includes Bitcoin that's currently sitting at the top, that includes now BCH and a few of the other chains out there, we have then come to the conclusion that BSV is the original Bitcoin. And this whole thing of proof of work, that is what needs to be echoed throughout the entire space. End of the day, don't just jump online, give statements and not be able to back those statements up. Mm-hmm. End of the day, it's about the amount of work you can actually do and the amount of work that you can do for this space in general. So a lot of the stuff that is actually coming out from the BSV camp is extremely positive. They are working on this technology and actually applying it in real world use cases, stuff that can actually be utilized in the future. That is exactly why we support BSV. Now, all of this stuff that is now coming out, of course, especially the stuff with the lawsuits, this copyright will help and support and aid in the lawsuits that are currently going forward. Yep. So let's bring up one of the popular ones, which is Peter McCormack. Yep. Now, Peter McCormack recently made a statement, I think about a day ago now. And this was as soon as the stuff came out about the copyright. Mm-hmm. Now, the statement that he then came out with was pretty much backtracking a little bit, and you can see everyone in the comments at that particular point basically saying, why the hell are you backtracking now? Yep. After such a bold statement saying that Satoshi, that fake Satoshi, pretty much that narrative that was created. So as soon as that copyright information came out, just pretty much deflated at that point and then started backtracking a little bit. Yeah. Because he didn't actually hire a lawyer to fight the legal battle that he said he was going to be fighting. Now that further information has come out about the copyright, that, to be completely honest, in the grand scheme of things, it means something, yes. But at this stage right now, not too much.
Well, I think it's a little bit like a puzzle situation, right? So imagine you've got a puzzle in front of you. You're missing about 10 different pieces from it, right? To give a complete picture, you do require those 10 pieces to obviously make it happen. Yeah. And I think this really is just one of those 10 pieces being slotted into that puzzle. Uh-huh. There's still a lot more that needs to happen to make this a complete picture. But it's a step towards the right direction, I think is the interesting point to it.
And this is what the entire community should be pleased about, is the fact that we are now coming up to the point where we're going to start getting answers. And the fact that this new information has come out and the office have given an update as to what the copyright actually means. Peter McCormack has now puffed his chest back out again, and he has stated that he's been talking to two of the top law firms. Perfect. The better the lawyers are, the better the situation is going to be for absolutely everyone.
Yeah, 100%.
So it
competition breeds excellence at the end of the day.
Exactly. So it does look like that they are going to go into pretty much the lawsuit, and we are going to get answers off the back of it. So everyone should watch this case because he has to prove why he deems Craig to be fake Satoshi, and Craig has to prove why he is Satoshi. And of course, this copyright is going to help with that process, and that all it pretty much is. But there's going to have to be a lot more evidence supported with that to actually provide all the information needed on who he truly is. So we're going to get answers, basically.
Yeah, we're going to get the last little puzzle pieces. And I think that it's going to be interesting to see how quickly that does happen. I think, to be honest with you, Peter McCormack and people like his kind of ilk are really actually helping us towards finding out quicker, because they are kind of throwing up these points, and they are having these lawsuits in the not too distant future. You can see that it's drumming up in the background now. We should get some answers not too distant future, which I imagine is going to be interesting around the Dave Kleiman case as well, because it will kind of support the evidence that Craig is trying to prove at this moment in time. And again, I'm not sitting here saying that he isn't, whatever it may be. Yeah. I have my own opinions, which I've made very public over the past episodes within this. And yeah, I think, like we said, competition is going to breed excellence. I want to see the two parties fight it out. I want to see Dave Kleiman, family fight it out for what they're due or not due, and really the truth will come out, and whatever's due will be given out to whoever it's supposed to be given out to. Yeah. And you know what? I'm looking forward to finding out the result.
Yep. Proof of work is the most important couple of words of this episode. Proof of work. So it's no longer about this big social media presence, the fact that you can convince the masses. It's about proof of work. What are you actually doing? What are you doing for the space? What are you building currently? Not just about what you tweet. That is all we have ever been interested in, and that is all we will be interested in, is what can you actually do.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that's a great opportunity to end this episode on that point. One thing we'd always like to say is if you are enjoying what you're seeing with us, please subscribe, hit the notification button so you always see the latest and greatest coming from Bitstocks. If you'd like to have a listen rather than a watch, please head down to Spotify or iTunes, where you can obviously listen to our podcast as well. And yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens over the coming months and what happens out of the CoinGeek event in Toronto. So yeah, I think that's a nice place to end.
Mm-hmm. So one of the points on the CoinGeek in Toronto, just sorry to cut you off there before we actually end. One of the points of the Toronto event for CoinGeek. Now, Craig is going to be talking a bit about a lot of the history, the early days within Bitcoin. So I do recommend everyone goes and just listens to that. And of course, then make your own mind up. And of course, we're going to have our CEO out there, Michael Hudson, and he's talking on the Thursday, so the 30th of this month. So everyone, if you can, or if you're in the area, head over to the event and hopefully see you there. Peace.
Cheers, guys. Thanks.